NHL Special 50 with 50, Ron. I am your host, Eric. My main man right over there, Ron. How are you?
How you doing, Eric?
My hockey guru, Mr. NHL himself. Can you explain the title to those people that are tuning in tonight?
Okay, so it's 50 for 50. And what that means is all these players are ranked from 50 down to number one for the best players that have scored 50 goals in a season. Now, not
So,
necessarily the best goal scorer, the best players.
so it's based off of players, not stats, not numbers. So before people flip a lid,
Yeah, because
it's
look, and look, like any of these lists, tomorrow I could wake up and the list could be different.
yes, that's always the case sometimes. All right, so let's start right off and get into it at number 50, and that's Charlie Simmer.
Charlie Simmer,
And what can you tell us?
fantastic. Oh, look, this guy. I mean, look, all these guys are great. I mean, let's make no mistakes about it. When you look at this guy, he spent most of his time with the LA Kings back in the 70s and 80s. He played also for the Boston Bruins for a couple of seasons. I believe 3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, with the Bruins, and then finished his career off with Pittsburgh. Um, Look, this guy is just a great player. Like all these guys are going to be great players. Charlie Simmer, 342 goals, 369 assists for 711 points. He was plus 115. I mean, 42 game-winning goals
Wow,
in his career.
not bad, not
You
bad at all.
know, he led the league once in goals. So and that was his season that he had 56 goals. It's probably his second best season of his career. Actually had 56 goals both his best seasons. So that was back in 1980-81. He had 56 goals with 105 points. But the year he led the league in goals with 56 was 79-80. The season before, he had 101 points. So, I mean, you're looking at a guy that can light the lamp, and he chipped in, had two 100-point seasons. I mean, this guy was a great player. And, it's like when we're comparing these players, I mean, you figure at least 20 of these guys are interchangeable as far as where they are in placement. I mean, I've already changed this like 4 times today.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know.
Yes, yes, yes. I want to thank Michael for joining. Appreciate the share.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have Charlie Simmer at number 50. Remember, these are all 50 goal scorers. So you take that in consideration.
How many 50
Now,
goal seasons did he have?
looking at my notes, if I can find it really fast, I don't know if I can.
I'm sorry if
He
I
had
can-
two times 50 goal
Okay.
scorers, and those with the 256 goal seasons. He's also 69th all time in goals. So I mean that's gonna obviously change most likely in the next year or two anyway, because players keep going up and down not down the list,
Yeah.
but you go up the
Yeah.
list.
Most
You
of the
know,
time. Yeah.
but number 50 right now. Give it a year, probably won't be in number 50.
Gotcha. So at 49, you had Lanny McDonald, and we are going to bring up this picture because I had to.
Yes, you have to.
That stash.
You have to. He has to
was-
be in the top 50 just for the stash alone.
That stash is phenomenal.
I mean, look at that stash. Like
Look
some
at that
people would
thing.
kill for that.
So
Tom
what can you
Selleck has
tell?
been trying to grow that mustache. Still.
What can you tell us about Lanny?
Oh my God, this guy, like he's just 500 goal scorer, exactly 500 to be honest with you. It was just an unbelievable player. He did it, up in Calgary most of his career. All his notable years were in Calgary, played for Toronto as well. I mean, look, this guy is a fantastic hockey player. Like, I mean, it's more than just the goals for this guy. I mean, he was like the heart and soul of those teams in Calgary. Um, he scored 66 goals in a season, and had 98 points that year back in 82, 83. And he's had a quick number. Let me see if I look all total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons with at least 40 goals. I mean, that is fantastic. I mean, this is a guy that's a Hall of Famer. He's won a Stanley Cup, 2-time All-Star. Hard to believe it's only 2 times. But he's won the Masterton Trophy, which is given to players that perseverance and sportsmanship and dedication to hockey. So there's a lot to go along with Lanny McDonald than just
Just
stats.
the mustache. Just the mustache.
Yeah, no, I mean he's more than a mustache. He's more than a mustache, and great player. He's one of those guys that you would love to have on your team. When he was playing, obviously, it's just he's a Hall of Famer, absolute Hall of Famer.
Another great player. So 48, one of our current players right now, Leon
Yes.
Draisaitl.
Oh my God, Leon Draisaitl. I just put him in, and he's the last change that we made. And I'm looking at these numbers, and there's a number that stands out to me that is pretty impressive. Okay, now the guy has 285 career goals right now. You think, Ron, how is he in the top 50 all time? For the 50 goal scorers. Well, when you look at some of those goals, so 285, he has 52 game-winning goals already.
Wow.
Already. Like, basically 20% of his goals are game winners. That's insane. That's an insane amount of numbers. When you look at it, Charlie Simmer, who seems to have played 10 seasons or so, he had 42. This guy is just starting. Starting. So the numbers are ballooned, and when I looked at his plus minus, I thought it was going to be a negative because of being in Edmonton, and they haven't really been good defensively, but it's a plus 21. And when I looked at it, I was like, well, Lanny McDonald is a plus 39 for his career. So I had to put in Leon Draisaitl, and I really think that by the time his career is done, he's probably going to be in the top 25.
I could see that, especially based off just the sheer goal scoring in the
Absolutely.
Connor McDavid makes you that much better having a star player as well, because sometimes you get those easy goals based on the fact that there's so much more attention.
Yeah, but he doesn't even play on his line. So I mean, he'll be out there on the power play with Connor McDavid, which is really scary. But Connor McDavid probably will be on this list next year because it looks like he's going to score 50, right?
Yeah.
Is he already over that yet?
Not quite
He's close.
yet. Not quite yet.
He's close.
Not quite yet. So Leon Draisaitl, 48. At 47, Ron, you had Peter Bondra.
Yeah, and if I was to change another player, this would be the one that I'd want higher. When I did most of the list, it went by visualizing these players and what I've seen them do in their careers. Most of them I got to watch, live. And Peter Bondra, I always thought he was a great player. But this guy, 503 goals, 389 assists, so 892 points. And what he did for the game is just unbelievable. And again, I look at that game-winning goal number. 78 game-winning goals. That's pretty impressive. And also a plus 74. So, I mean, so he was a contributor to go along with the goals. When I look at all those goals that he scored, a lot of it was with Washington Capitals. He spent 14 years with Washington, and then from there he was like with, it seemed like, every team. Toronto, Washington. He went back in a second stint for a season with Washington, Ottawa, then Atlanta,
Hey,
and then Chicago. He finished his career. But by then it was already kind of over. Like, he wasn't the same player as he was. But when he was in his prime, you're talking, his best season was 52 goals. He did that twice. So, 250-goal seasons was definitely going to get in to this list. And, he just was a dynamic player, very well-rounded in skill. So he had some speed. He had a nice shot. He had a lot of attributes that was just a pure goal scorer.
which you'll find with most of the guys you put on this list. So
Exactly.
So at number 46, you had Tim Kerr.
Tim Kerr, yeah, this was an interesting one because I've always known him for like that guy, like a Dave Andrewchuk. You just park him in front of the net, and he's so big you can't move him, and but he was more than that, and it's too bad because I think he could have been even better, but he got injured, and when you look at the last 6 seasons that he had, didn't play all a full season in any of those.
Yeah.
He had 69 games in 88, 89. The season before, only 8. And then after that, it was 40, 27, 32, and 22. So injuries really took its toll on this guy. And even when he wasn't playing much, he was still scoring goals. He still had a 20 goals season in 40 games.
Wow.
So
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and a guy that's injured, right?
Yeah.
Playing injured through the end of his career. It's too bad because when he started getting those goals, 83, 84 was, he had 54 goals. Then the next season, 54, then 58, then 58, and then he got hurt. And that took a lot out of him. He missed almost that whole season except for 8 games. And then he came back, played 69, and still got 48. And, another, shortened season. But 48 goals is 48 goals. I mean, this guy can score. And, he was never the same after that. And it's too bad because, here's a guy that probably could have been, I would say top 20 in goals all time. I mean, he finished at 65 right now. So 65th all time in goals. And you really didn't get full seasons except for maybe like 5 good years. And that's the thing. Injuries.
Yeah. So, Kenny, thanks for joining. And we move on to a guy I remember from my days back in NHL when we used to play, Theo Fleury.
Yeah,
45.
before Marc-Andre Fleury hit the scene, Theo Fleury was the Fleury. All right, this guy, he was undersized. Everything they say about what's wrong with a player. But this guy could fly. He was a speedster, and that speed was just relentless. And there's so many times I've seen him just go right around defensemen with that speed. He ended his career with 455 goals, 633 assists. He was a plus 145, and he had 67 game-winning goals, a cup winner. Hard to believe he was only a one-time All-Star. I mean, this guy, he was just like lightning in a bottle. And again, another Calgary Flame, for a good part of his career. Spent a few years with the Rangers, and he had a season with Colorado, but for the most part, it was with Calgary, and, he scored a ton of goals.
No, a great player.
Yeah.
Great player.
Yeah. And I mean, you can see like a lot of those smaller players that come across in the league now, and they always say, they're undersized, but if they're fast, it doesn't matter. Speed kills.
Yeah, it does. It can. Absolutely. Great pick at 45. At 44, you had Dino Ciccarelli.
Yeah. And when you look at it, his numbers, 18th all-time in goals. 18th. Wow. But I have him way down here, and there is one glaring number as to why. First of all, the 608 goals are fantastic. 1,200 career points in 1,232 games. So almost a point a game.
Yep.
Yeah, but the 73 game-winning goals, great numbers, right? But a -4 for his career. So defensively, not very good. The guy could shoot the lights out. I mean, he was an amazing goal scorer, one of the best. I mean, he was one of the best. But there is more to that than just the goals. I mean, you've got to be able to play in your own end at some point. And -4, it's not extremely terrible for a goal scorer, especially when you're considering a lot of the teams he was on. And he played on a lot of teams. I mean, you're looking at Minnesota, Washington, Detroit, Tampa Bay, and Florida. So he's been around.
But sometimes through longevity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he has a 19-year. He had a 19-year career. I mean, he spent a lot of time, so everybody always wanted him, because of that goal scoring ability. His last season, though, 14 games played, and that tells you what happens at the end. When you start getting those injuries, his last 3 seasons, 34, 28, and 14 games. I mean, there you go. I mean, that spells the end right there. When you've been around that long and you can't stay healthy, you're not going to get many suitors. But this guy had a great career, and he deserves. There's 608 reasons why he belongs in this list.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. So at 43, Alexander McGillney.
Yes. This guy had some talent, man. I'll tell you, he had 76 goals back in 92-93, and that was his 4th season.
Wow.
At 76 goals, 51 assists, 127 points. The only problem with that, he played in, the era where, Gretzky, Lemieux, Yzerman were all there, and therefore you're not going to get recognized as much. But make no mistakes about it, this guy was highly skilled. 76 goals is not a fluke. It might be a fluke for the amount of goals in a season. Considering he played 77 games and got 76 goals.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can only say it's a fluke to a point, right?
Yeah. Nah, he stinks, man. He didn't get 77, right?
This guy is a goal scorer. And if you give him time, he's going to burn you. And when you can score 30-plus goals pretty much every season, that says something. He has a 55-goal season as well and a 43. Yeah. Those are his top 3 seasons. This guy is a goal scorer. When you can score 50 goals at least twice in a career, not a whole lot of people can say that. I mean, some people do it once, but I mean, what if we have like 78 guys that have scored 50?
Yeah. So
I mean, that's not easy to do.
not
So
easy at all.
McGinley was just so skilled. He was in Buffalo, so say what you want about the Buffalo Sabres, but back then, when they had McGinley, Hasek, and all those other,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dominic
that was a
Hasek.
team.
Yeah.
That was a team.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
So
So we're cracking number 42 now, and that's Steven Stamkos. So another current player
yeah,
that's out there.
yeah, Steven Stamkos. He's still going at it. 500 505 goals right now. So even when I wrote down my list, he scored 3 more goals since then. I mean, he's a goal scorer. This guy can play. He knows how to win. 505 goals, 525 assists, 1,030 points in 976 games. He's a plus 80. I'm surprised it's only a plus 80, to be honest with you. 77 game-winning goals. 77. And that's just regular season numbers. I mean, when you throw playoffs in,
Yeah.
I mean, it just gets ridiculous after that, He's had, what is it, 2 50-goal seasons, if I'm not mistaken. 51 in 2009, 2010. That seems like ages ago already. But
Right.
he had 60 in 2011 and 12, 60 goals, 82 games. He had 97 points that season. And the number that they have here on his stats, 19 even strength. Oh, wait, wrong number. 48 even strength goals in that 60-goal season. So it wasn't just power plays and stuff like that. It was everything. He did have 12 power play goals, but still, if you take those out, 48 goals is pretty
Yeah.
pretty impressive itself. So, it's crazy to see the numbers that he's still putting up, and he's going to climb up that list. He was number 38 coming in to the show. What?
Yeah.
Top
Look
30 at least, right? You got to
for
think
sure.
that.
By the time his career is over, without a doubt.
Yeah, because he's
Without a
probably
doubt.
got a couple more years.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So,
So 42, Steven Stamkos. 41, Joe Mullen.
yeah, Joe Mullen. Oh man, this guy, one of the best American-born players ever. One of the best. Set the standard for American players back in when he finished his career. 502 goals, 561 assists. He averaged a point a game. He had 1,063 points in 1,062 games, plus a plus 167, and 73 game winners. He's a 3-time Cup winner, 2-time Lee Bing, and a 1-time All-Star, which is hard to believe, only 1 time in the All-Star games. But he is a Hall of Famer, of course. I mean, this guy was just dynamite. I mean, he's so good. He spent a good chunk of years with 3 different teams. He spent 6 years with Pittsburgh, 5 with St. Louis, and 5 with Calgary. And he had 1 season with the Boston Bruins. It was also, you figure of the leadership that he brings. He was like a full package, to get this kind of a player. And you look at those 40 goals seasons that he's had, is incredible. Only 1 time 50 goals. It was 51 with 59 assists in 88-89. That was his best season, 110 points in 79 games played. But he would score 40 almost all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times he scored 40 goals. So I mean, the numbers just roll on and on with this guy.
No, great. Another great player. To your point, American-born player. So, again, we know it's a Canadian sport for the most part, or even you know what I mean, some
Yeah,
others, but some
no,
other countries.
it's
But it's nice to see when American players can kind of have a contribution. So
absolutely.
at number 40, you got Mike Gartner.
Yeah, this guy is 7th all time in goals, and I probably didn't give him enough credit. But I just feel like there was something missing from this guy. But it certainly wasn't the 708 goals that he scored. That was not missing. You know, he had 335 points in 1,432 games. So not quite a point a game. But if you're scoring 708 in 1,400 games, every other game you're going to score, I'll take that. I'll take that. He was a plus 68 for his career. The guy had 90 game-winning goals. 90 winning goals. I'm going to write that down now because if we'll see how many the most people had. Some of
So
them
he's
is
leading
going to
right
be
now.
crazy.
Yeah.
So he's leading
Yeah.
right now in game-winning goals. So you figure 90 wins were because of him.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. What a great player.
It's amazing. The guy could score. I mean, he was fast too. He had some speed. I don't think he was quite as good defensive as he could have been. But when you're a goal scorer, there's room for that. I mean, as long as you're not giving up the farm, when you're out there, then it should work itself out. And this guy, first 50 goal season was 84-85. And, he came close again in 1990 with 49. He only played 79 games that season. So if he would have played one more game, he would have had that 50th goal. It's just one of those things. You missed out on that. But you're going to get every year you're going to get 35 to 45 goals, and what team would not want that?
No, you're right. And so we're cracking into the 30s now. At 39, Dave Anderchuk.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Is there anybody better on the power play than Anderchuk? Outside of the obvious guys, and we won't name those guys yet because they'll be coming
Not
up
yet.
later. He's 14 all time in goals. A lot of that is on the power play. Let's be real with this. Power play goals. Now, when you look at some of those years with power play goals, in 1991-92, he had 28 power play goals. That's
Wow.
more than what most players get in a season. But he wasn't done. The following season, he had 32. 32
Power play goals. That's ridiculous.
power play goals.
Yeah.
That's it. Just power play.
That's
Like
insane.
literally, this is what this guy did for a living. Okay, everybody at the trade deadline would want those guys that could help your special teams, right? This is what teams were doing. And you look at the list of teams that he's gone from place to place to place. 12 years with Buffalo, that was the most. 4 years with Toronto, 4 years with New Jersey, 4 years with Tampa Bay, 1 with Boston, 1 with Colorado. But when you look at it, there were some years where he'd switch back to another team that he already came from. He played for Buffalo, in the beginning of his career. Then, like 10 years later, he goes back to Buffalo to play a season. This is why they want him, because his power play goals.
Yeah.
Like double-digit power play goals almost every season. Almost every season. It's crazy the amount of goals that this guy has scored, and what his output and his ice time is comparatively. I mean, the numbers are just insane. And, he only scored 50 goals, I believe, twice in his career. So, I mean, he had a long career. So that says something. 23 years in the NHL is pretty damn
Wow,
good.
that is.
He won one cup. So it worked out once.
Hey, one's better than none, right?
It is. No, I'm
One's
talking
better
about for
than
the
none.
teams that traded for him.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Again, when you get those specialists, guys that are just so good
Yeah,
at a
I
certain
mean,
thing
there's
that,
something to be said. There's something to be said about that.
yeah, no, that was
Um, yeah,
some,
that's what his
oh,
job was.
yeah, some great insight there. At 38, you had Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah, Evgeny Malkin, Gino. Look, this guy, he's another player that's still active, of course. And look, and I compare him with Sidney Crosby quite often because of the argument of how good Sidney Crosby is. And I say, well, Crosby's only led the league in points twice. Well, so is Malkin. You know, so there's that comparison. So, but all he's done in his career is 3-time Cup winner, a Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, 2 Art Ross trophies, a Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP, 3-time All Star. He's won a Hart Trophy for MVP and a Pearson Trophy, which is voted on by the players for outstanding player in a regular season. That's all he's done. That's all.
Yeah, not
Oh,
much.
and did I forget about the 463 goals, 737 assists, the 1,200 points in 1,034 games?
Not
Well
bad at
over
all.
a point a game.
Yeah,
I mean, that's insane. It's ridiculous numbers, as everybody is in this list.
yeah,
Ridiculous numbers, right?
yeah. As you continue, yeah, we keep going down. It's like who can beat who at this point?
Right. He's had 80 game-winning goals, so not quite the top, not quite the top, but he's up there. I'll tell you, Malkin is a special player, and if not for injuries, where would he be? Because I'm looking at the list, like in the last 4 years, he's played his most played games is 55.
Hmm.
You
An
know,
82
and
game season. Yeah,
yeah, and it's it's one of those things. If he could have been playing, you
yeah.
don't know
Some-
where his numbers would be. Is let me see, he's 45th all time in goals. I mean, he'd already be in the top 40 at least.
yeah,
At least.
yeah. It's a shame sometimes injuries. At 37, you had Pierre Turgeon.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of surprising to me. I didn't think I'd have him this high. Then I looked at his numbers, and it was pretty good. His numbers are impressive, and I'm still not convinced that he shouldn't be higher. Okay, so he's
Okay,
played 1,294 games, 515 goals, which surprised me. 812 assists. He has 1,300 plus points
so more than a point
in
a
the
game as
12,
well.
yeah, in less than 1,300 games. So he's more than a point a game. He's a plus 139 lifetime. 86 game win goals. 86.
Almost the top, not yet though.
Almost a, but I mean, that's pretty good, especially for a
Yeah,
guy that's supposed to be a playmaker, right? I mean, we do look, we talk about playmakers, and and this is the question that they have in with LeBron James in the NBA right now. He's a playmaker because he passes, right? Well, he still scores a ton too. So, and that's
yeah,
what this guy does. Pierre Turgeon, I'm not saying he's the LeBron James of the league, but that's the kind of player he is. He can chip in both with the
he
goals and the
yeah.
playmaking.
He wasn't one dimensional. He could
No,
bring, you
he
know what I
was
mean?
a good
He got
two-way
other guys
player.
involved as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought, this is the direction of a Patrice Bergeron and Jonathan Taves. This is what they are. That's the
Yeah.
kind of player. And if they can put those numbers up, and they are, so I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, no, great. 36, Mark Recchi.
Yeah, this guy wins. You know, I mean, when you look at him, he's 20th all time for goals. Like, I was actually surprised at that. You know, because I look at him, you know, playing day in, day out, and he just doesn't seem like the guy that will be like 20th all time in goals. You know, he just that quiet, and then all of a sudden he has a couple of goals. It's like, it just happened. But he's won 3 Stanley Cups, including that cup with Boston.
The range, and Rangers as well, right? Was he in the Rangers? Was that
Mostly, I don't know if
Recchi?
he was.
Was he
No,
with the
he's
Rangers?
Pittsburgh Penguins.
Pittsburgh. Okay.
So he won it twice with the Penguins. Um, he's played a long career. I mean, 22 seasons, 10 with Philadelphia, 7 with Pittsburgh, 5 with Montreal, 3 with Boston, and then 1 with Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay. But this guy just knows how to win. You know, 570 career goals. I mean, that's pretty good. And, you know, not quite a point a game. He had 1,533 with 1,652 games played. But like I said, it's like one of those things, you know, it's like you don't see him on the ice, and then all of a sudden he has 2 goals in the game, and then you lose. And the reason why you lose is because he has 91 game-winning goals.
So he takes the lead.
Yes.
He takes the lead. Most
90.
game-winning goals so far, Mark Recchi.
The only downside, he was a 0 for plus minus.
Really? Wow.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you don't notice him until he scores the goals. And,
Yeah.
you know, but so that's why he's so far down. You know, yes, okay, you're 20th all time in goals, but you do let up some.
Yeah.
So
That could be a factor. That could be a factor.
But he does win.
At number 35, you had Glenn Anderson.
Yeah, another guy that I didn't think that he'd be this high up, but that's skillful. I remember him playing and watching the games, and this guy just could do it all. He you know, wasn't a point a game player, but he played two-way hockey, and he was a plus 201 in 1,129 games, 498 goals. It's too bad they couldn't get those 2 other goals. I mean,
get the 500, yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to retire just like 2 goals behind 500. But he had 85 game-winning goals, so he was up there as well. I mean, these guys are goal scorers, so they're going to have a lot of game-winning goals. You know, and to his credit, though, he was a pretty healthy player for most of his career until the last few seasons where he really had trouble staying healthy. Of course, when you get older, that's what happens. But he deteriorated at a rapid pace once that started happening.
Again, age and injuries can play a factor sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Glenn Anderson, lots of speed, lots of talent, lots of skill, lots of everything, and it helps when you are on Edmonton. You know, I mean, when you're the third man, you know, on the line that just, you know, knows how to put the puck in the net, and it makes it easier when you got a guy like Gretzky out there.
Oh, that's that kind of helps.
Messier. You know, pick your poison.
It helps a little, just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little. So at number 34, you had Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah, Jeremy Roenick. You know, and look, I love the grit. Like, that's my favorite part of this player. Is that grit. But you don't realize that he had 513 goals, 703 assists, plus 153. This guy could do it all. And if you want to win a game, he's going to bring that to you because he has 92 game-winning goals. So
92. So he's ahead
92.
now.
So he's up there now, right? This is what this guy does. I mean, this is the never say die, attitude, who comes in fired up on every shift, grinds it out. He can play any style of game you want. If you want to be finesse, he can do that. If you want to be grinding it out, he can do that. If you want hitting, he can do that. He did a lot. And, he made those Chicago teams pretty impressive. He also played for Phoenix and Philadelphia and San Jose. So, again, guys like this, everybody wants. And so that means he's going to be doing some traveling. If he doesn't mind the traveling, he's always going to have a job kind of thing,
Yeah.
And 513 goals is going to tell you that that's the kind of player you want on your team that plays as hard as he does every shift. Every shift. So I'm wondering if he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. I would hope so. He doesn't have like the accolades, like he doesn't have any trophies. He doesn't have, any, all-star appearances and stuff like that. But man, how could you not want this guy?
Yeah, no. Another one of those guys from the old NHL Sega Genesis days that was one of those.
There we go. There we go.
So at 33, you had Dale Howardchuk.
Yes, very good. Very good. I'm actually impressed you got to. Yeah, Howardchuk, 31st all time in goals, 518. He's won Rookie of the Year, and he's a one-time All-Star. He's in the Hall of Fame. Look, 1,409 points in 1,188 games played. Very good. 49 game-winning goals. The only knock I have on him is a minus 98.
Wow.
But he did play for Winnipeg a lot of years, and then Buffalo. So, hasn't actually had very many good teams to play on. But he's always scoring goals. I mean, his rookie year had 45 goals, 58 assists. So you knew what kind of a player he could be.
Yeah.
And 6 times he had over 100 points in his career. That's pretty impressive. Especially doing it with bad teams. It kind of reminds me of Draisaitl and McDavid when you have all that skill, but they just don't put enough around you to be good and be a contender. That's the problem with that. And other than that, this guy, he's a pure hockey player. Such great talent. It's just too bad, that he didn't get to win it. Didn't get to experience that good team. And
yeah, that happens to some of them.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, that's part of the process. 32, Johnny Busick.
Yeah, and I was expecting as I just went to Johnny Boychuk instead of Busick. No, I was expecting to hear it from you about how he should go a lot higher.
Yeah, I mean, we went over this in our pick and roll.
It's tough. To put this guy. I'm a Bruins fan. And seeing the numbers that came from him, I almost can't even believe the numbers. But what put him down so far was the fact that he was a minus player, and I penalized
Which
him
you
for
seem to hold
that.
some value to. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be good defensively, and he wasn't that good defensively, but the guy could could score 556 goals, which put him 25th all time, which is saying something considering when he played. Um, he didn't average a point a game, so being a minus player and not averaging a point a game kind of hurts. But he had 92 game-winning goals.
Ah, see, he's
So,
tied. It's a tie
so
right now.
yeah, so he tied Ronick with that. He played from 55 to 78, so he had a 23-year career. Um, like I said, it's that not a point a game, and being a minus player, I penalized him for that. So I put him down at number 32, which is still no slouch. But I thought, yeah, the 31 other players I really think are much better of a hockey player than he was.
Okay. Well, we'll let the fans out there be the judge of that. But
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Somebody will. Some some
there'll
Bruin
be
fan
some
will
people
probably get
upset.
on me.
Oh yeah.
But hey, that's the way it is. Some things will never change.
Number 31, Pat LaFontaine.
Yeah, this guy. I'll tell you. He only played 15 seasons. I think nagging injuries kind of hurt him. In his last 5 seasons, he had 16, 22 games, then 76, but then 13, and then 67. So he was feeling it at the end of his career. But this guy was good. He was good. And he just had to leave too early. I think he could have really, really done well. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 40-goal seasons in 15 years. So that's pretty impressive in itself. 468 total goals. I really think if it wasn't for injuries, he probably would have hit 500 for sure. 1,013 points in only 865 games. So here's a guy that he's a -6 for his career, but averaging well over a point a game. So therefore, ahead of Johnny Busick.
No, we go.
And that was the defining moment for those two players. That's why, he's just above Busick. And I think he was more talented than Busick just by the scoring per game. And, just unfortunate injuries, and we
Yep.
say this about a lot of players, and there'll be at least another player or two that is going to be in the same boat ahead of him.
Yeah. Let's see where we're at. So coming in at number 30 was Keith Kachuk.
Yeah, well, you saw at the All-Star game with his sons, uh, Brady and Matthew Kachuk, how they can dominate a game, and that's what Keith Kachuk was. I mean, Matthew Kachuk was just like his father. Keith Kachuk was just an amazing player. 538 goals, 527 assists, 1,065 points in 1,201 games. So not quite a point a game. He was a plus 33. I mean, game-winning goals, 72. I mean, he could puck in the net, and he was tough. He was tough. He led the league in 96, 97 for goals with 52. He had 50 the year before that. So back-to-back 50-goal seasons. He did not get back to the 50 mark after that, but definitely a goal scorer, and I'll tell you, he was dangerous no matter where he was on the ice. That toughness, you're not going to move him out in front of the net. and he'll just bully his way through. And that's basically what he could do. That's the kind of player he was, and frankly, that's the kind of player I like.
Yeah, no, he's a great player, and again, his sons are. You can see just based
Yeah,
off of what their father did, how they perform as well. So
absolutely.
number 29. I'm sure I'm going to say this one. Rick Vavi.
Nope, Vive.
Vive.
Yes,
Ah,
this guy. I'll tell you. Wow, what a hockey player this guy was. Uh, like they all are, right? Take this, and this is another guy that only 876 career games. He had 441 goals, so he would score basically one every 2 games, actually less than
yeah.
2 games. 347 assists, 788 points in that time. Look, he's a minus 79. And I know I deducted it off of the other two, but he was on a really horrible team for so many years. Toronto Maple Leafs back then were terrible. Terrible. But this guy stood out and was one of the best in the league. And it is not his fault that the team was just incompetent on getting them to be, surrounded by any talent. Um, it was him and Salming back then, and that was it. That was it. And it's too bad because this guy really deserved some some help, and they didn't give it to him. And if that wasn't bad enough, he ends up in finishing his career in Buffalo, um, and he was surrounded by some talent there, but he was already on the decline. So even if he was a plus player there, that's the thing. If they gave him any kind of talent, he would have been spectacular
Yeah.
and possibly even brought them to a championship. He's that kind of a player. He's a special player, and they let him rot.
Yeah,
And
that's fortunate.
back then, teams and players were loyal to their teams for the most part, and unfortunate that Toronto never tried to get better. Never tried.
That's a shame. That's a shame. At 28, another Boston Bruin, Cam Neely.
What could it, right? I mean, we talk about injuries, guys like Pat LaFontaine, and some other guys out there. This guy, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer with his career at 726 games. I mean, imagine if he would have played a full career. I mean, what he would have done. He had 4 All-Star appearances, and he won the Masterton once for dedication, and that was because of all those injuries. Thank you, Ulf Samuelsson, for ruining one of the best players ever career. I mean, this guy was one of the few guys that scored 50 goals in 50 games or less. 1993-94, Cam Neely only played 49 games, but he scored 50 goals that season.
Wow.
This is the kind of player that he was. And, after that hit by Ulf Samuelsson that devastated his knees, he was never the same. And unfortunately played with pain for the next few years and then finally couldn't do it anymore. And that's too bad because he could have been, I mean, he was 56th all time. I think he could have made it into the 30s, to be honest with you. He was that good. He was that good. He had such a heavy shot. It would find a way through the goaltender. It would find a way, And then you talk about that grit and determination. I mean, like he was as tough as they come. Probably at that point, probably the toughest player in the league.
And now he's running, helping run the franchise. So
Absolutely, and I think he's doing okay. They are making moves. They are doing what they can to bring home another cup. And I know a lot of people give the Bruins a hard time and they don't think that Neely and Sweeney are doing a good job, but I am not one of those people. I think they are doing a good job, especially, considering how far this team has come when they wouldn't spend a dime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At number 27, you had Rick Middleton.
Yes, another former Bruin. And I'll tell you, this guy was like poetry on ice. I mean, he just looked like he wasn't, and then he's by you. A lot of his game reminds me of Guy Lafleur. Guy Lafleur is an exceptional player. Rick Middleton was an exceptional player too. Not quite a Guy Lafleur, but he was up there at 448 goals, 540 assists. I mean, it was impressive. He had 988 in points, just missing the 1 point per game in his career with 1,005 games played, but a plus 175, so he could play defensively and put the puck in the net. 59 game-winning goals to go along with that. Spent 12 years with Boston and 2 with the Rangers, so only 14 seasons. And I say that because nowadays you're getting players that can play like 19 seasons and still keep going if they want to.
Yeah.
It's a different era. I also think that playing in the 70s and 80s, you had to be tough. And if you were brittle, it was not a league for you.
Yeah.
So, he had 50 goals once in his career. But when you look at his seasons, 22, 24, 25, 38, 40, 44, 51, 49, 47, 30. That's a hell of a run. And then he got hurt and played and scored 14 in 49 games, but came back the following season with 31. And then you could see that the next season he was out of gas. 13 goals, 19 assists in 59 games. So a lot of people would take that in 59 games, but not Rick Middleton. And, so he knew his time was over then. And, he's still with the organization doing, the in-between periods at times. And he's still part of the organization with, the alumni games and stuff like that. So he's a Bruin. He's a Bruin. And,
another great one. Another great player.
Yeah, a notch below a Guy Lafleur. There's nothing wrong with that, correct?
No, not at all. Not at all. At number 26, you had Brian Trottier.
Yeah, this guy, the captain. Okay, to put this in perspective, when we've seen all those numbers and stats and stuff like that from everybody else, not many people can say, they won the King Clancy Trophy, the Conn Smythe Trophy, the Hart Trophy for MVP, the Art Ross Trophy for scoring, 4-time All-Star, a Rookie of the Year. I think some of them have some of those things, but not many of them can say they won 6 Stanley Cups. Hall of Famer.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad, right? 1,425 points in 1,279 games, so easily a point per game. 524 of those points are goals. And then when you really want to round out a number, how about saying that you're a plus 449 for your career? So not only can you put in all those goals and have 901 assists, but you're not going to be a liability at all in your own end. In fact, you're going to stop people from scoring in your own end. That's why you have 6 Stanley Cups and 69 game-winning goals to go along with that. So not too shabby. I mean, he led the league in assists twice, led the league in points once. So, this guy can do it, no matter
So many
no
different
matter
ways.
what
Yeah.
point in his career. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I mean, he's a Hall of Fame winner.
oh, great. 25, you had Mike Modano.
Yes. Like this guy, Dallas Stars, Minnesota North Stars, however you want to call him, right? I mean, he's I mean, he's around from Minnesota. He played his whole career except for one season with Detroit, and that was his final season. He went to Detroit in his last season and had a miserable time. 40 games, 4 goals, 11 assists. What a miserable time in Detroit he had. I think he just missed being in Dallas. To be honest with you, he was homesick, and
Probably. You spend
you
that much
played your
time with one
whole career.
organization. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 seasons with Dallas / Minnesota North Stars, right? I mean, this guy, I think he might be the best American player. If not one of the best. So, I mean, this guy, one cup. He only played one All Star game, which is unbelievable to me to even think of that. But 561 career goals, wasn't quite a point per game. He played 1,499 games, 1,374 points. He was a plus 114. Um, he also had 92 game-winning goals.
Hey, so you got
So
another
there
one.
you go, another notch for that. So
Three-way tie here.
yeah, so I mean, like his numbers. Look, he never led the league in anything, but what he did, he probably led the league in consistency. You know what I'm saying? Like this is
Yeah.
a guy that spent 21 years of just nothing but consistent hockey. You know what you're going to get from Mike Modano. You know you're going to get a lot of wins because of the way he plays and what he means to the team. He was just fantastic, fantastic player.
Oh, great player. Great player. At number 24, you had Joe Newendike.
Yeah, another Calgary Flame on this, right? This guy was pretty awesome. He played, let me see, how many years with Calgary? 9 with Calgary. He also played with the Dallas Stars, so he was a teammate of Mike Modano. Not too bad when your top two centers are Modano and Newendike, let me tell you. And they're both in the all-time leaders for goals, right? 23 all-time for Modano, 22 all-time for Joe Newendike. You can't go wrong there, right?
Yeah.
So you had a solid team there. Mike Modano, Joe Newendike with 564 career goals. Again, not quite a point a game. It was a plus 155. So, and then you say, oh, let me throw in 93 game-winning goals on top of
Hey.
that. So whatever Mike do, I can do one better. So Mike Modano at number 25, Joe Newendike at number 24, and they're right next to each other in the all-time goals list as well. I mean, having these two guys on the same team is almost unfair for the rest of the league.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So at number 23, I had, is it Michel Goulet?
Very good. I thought you were going to call him Michael.
See, I'm getting there. French.
Oh, that's good. That's good. This guy, the numbers are just ridiculous. Again, they all are.
All are, yeah.
He's a 5-time All-Star. And then you see some guys that you don't understand how they didn't even make an All-Star team.
Yeah.
This guy's been in an All-Star 5 times for the Quebec Nordiques. The team doesn't even exist anymore. It's the Colorado Avalanche now. So,
yeah.
Look, 1,089 games played, 1,153 points scored, 548 goals. I mean, that is tremendous. 26 all time. 99 is his plus minus. 63 game winning goals. And he's been on some not so good teams in the past, when they start trading everybody away, and then it's like, then you look up and it's like, wait, I'm the only one left of this team, you know. So they've had some good players, and then they've had some not so good players in time. This guy has scored over 100 points 3 times in his career. So it's more than just the goals. The guy can put up assists as well. Best season probably was 1983-84, 56 goals, 66 assists. Not too shabby, and that's in 75 games, so he didn't even play a full season. I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So
yeah, again, all these guys, sometimes when you start talking about their numbers, you just go, wow. That's all you can really say.
yeah, and when you look at it, I mean, he's been in talks for a Selke Award. 81, 82, he had some votes for Selke. So he can do it defensively as well. Also 83, 84, he had some votes for a Selke Award. So it's he's got that skill, and he came up short for a Hart Trophy. I believe he had 12 votes one year for the Hart Trophy, and missed out on that, of course, when you're going up against Gretzky, Lemieux, and Yzerman, and a bunch of other greats.
Yeah.
It's hard to overcome that.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, so Michel Goulet was a hell of a hockey player. I remember watching those games against the Bruins, and he was a thorn. We'll say that.
Yeah. So at number 22, you had Pavel Bure.
Yeah, Pavel Bure was. Oh my God, he was so special. Again, you look at another guy here that has so many injuries, and he only played 102 games.
Wow.
But he still scored 437 goals. I mean, 779 points. So he was 77 points higher than a point per game. I mean, that is pretty impressive. 59 game-winning goals in that short period of time. So, I mean, if you project that's 7 seasons. I mean, 12 seasons. Sorry, 12 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, if you project it out another 4 years, I mean, that is what you're looking for, right? And then, the last 4 years, really, he didn't play a full season. And even one earlier, he only played 11 games. So he missed a lot of time. And there was another year, 3 years earlier than that 11 games, he played 15. So he's missed so many games in his career that, so when you look at it, 12 seasons, he really played 8 at best. At best.
With all the injuries, yeah.
With all the injuries.
Yeah.
But like the goals, 60 goals back-to-back seasons in 93, 94, and 94, 95. 60 goals for those seasons. And then, just to add to that, he had 3 other 50-goal seasons, including 59 and 58 goals in 2 of those seasons. So this guy was a goal scorer by every imaginable measure that you could think of. He was fast. He had a great shot. He was so skillful. I don't want to use the term, like he was Theo Fleury on steroids, because steroids is not a good thing to be associated with in sports. But he was souped up like that. Like he was like Theo Fleury, but better. Yeah. And I mean, what a player! What a player! Too bad his career got cut short.
Yeah. Number 21, Jerome Agilna.
Oh, Jerome Agilna. Look, this guy was tough. I mean, he was one of the better players that came through Calgary. Now, put this in perspective. as good as he was, he's probably what? He's where is he? 16th all time in goals. Well, he's a black player, so that is kind of historic when you really think about it. You know, when you get a guy that can be that high in scoring in hockey, which has been primarily dominated by white players,
Yeah.
especially, you know, until recently, um, what he has done is really special. So he's in the Hall of Fame, and he should be really considered, you know, like to me, he's like a Willie Mays, Hank Aaron of hockey. You know, when you really think about it, because this guy put the African American player on the map. And this is the guy that everybody aspires to be, unless they're a goaltender, then it's Grant Fuhr.
Yeah.
But this is the guy. I mean, he's won an Art Ross Trophy for scoring. He's won a Pearson Award. He's won 2 Rocket Richard Awards, which is for goals, most goals a season. 4-time All-Star, a King Clancy, and the Marc Messier Leadership Award. I mean, this is the kind of guy he is. He was the full package. When you want a guy that has that grit, that skill, that determination, the heart, and the leadership, this is that guy. This is the guy that you want. 625 goals, 675 assists for 1,300 points in 1,554 games. It was a plus 30. 101 game-winning goals.
Hey, all right.
101. This guy, he just does it all. He does it all, you know. And he's led in goals a couple of times, you know, and he's had so many good years. I mean, you look at these numbers, like his rookie season: 21 goals, 29 assists.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
I mean, that's fantastic. Fantastic. You know, he spent most of his career, 16 years with Calgary, you know, and he'll always be remembered as a Calgary Flame, you know, and it's, I mean, just amazing. And he played a year with Boston.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like the guy still had it. He got he got 30 goals season for Boston. Past his prime.
Yeah, at the tail end of his career. Yeah.
I mean, that's craziness.
Yeah.
And when the Brewers says, okay, we're gonna pass on re-signing you because we don't think you're gonna have, you know, enough left in the tank. Well, the next year he goes out and scores 29. You know,
Not bad.
no, not too bad. This guy is one of the best all time. I mean,
Jerome McGillna.
clearly,
Great player.
clearly.
Great player. At number 20, we cracked the top 20 here. Brandon Shanahan.
Yes, you know, I put him in that. This is where I feel that Cam Neely could have ended up. They're the same type of player. They're the same type of player. Brendan Shanahan finished 13th overall in goals. 656 goals. 698 assists. You know, I mean, that is pretty incredible. Plus 151. And get this. You know he had to outdo, you know, Jerome McGinley.
No, did he?
109 game-winning goals.
Wow.
109. You know,
Pretty good.
out of 656.
Yeah.
You know, 17% of your goals you're winning games. 17%.
Not bad at all.
That's craziness.
Not bad at all.
Spent 9 years with Detroit, 5 with New Jersey, and 4 with St. Louis. Those are the teams where he's really known from, especially Detroit. You know, only in 3 Stanley Cups. Only. He's been to 3 All-Star games, and he's won the King Clancy Award. Not too shabby for a guy that was, labeled for as a tough guy that has some skill. That's basically what his label was. A tough guy with some skill.
No, again, another one of those players that I remember back from those Sega Genesis days. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
mean,
they were just pure speed scorer.
yeah, the power forward,
Yeah,
those big, strong guys that just have a nice shot and they know how to use it, And like I said, he is a healthy Cam Neely.
no, that's great comparison. Great comparison. We're into the top 20 here, and that Yari Curry at number 19.
Yeah, it's when you're playing in Edmonton and you have the center being, say, Wayne Gretzky or Mark Messier. Doesn't matter, right? Left wing is Glenn Anderson, also on this list. Yeah, that
Kind
is
of help.
tough to. That's tough to overcome. He is 19th all time in goals with 601. Um, and just to prove that he wasn't one dimensional, 797 assists to go along with it. 1,398 points in 1,251 games played, so over a point a game.
In the game. Yeah,
Only a plus 304.
that's not.
That's not too much. Only 72 game-winning goals because, the
Some of those
game.
other guys might have taken.
Yeah, Wayne, Mark, and Glenn, they all shared in those game-winning goals. So,
Yeah,
it's tough to, get some of those. Five-time Cup winner, five-time All-Star. He's won the Lady Byng for the most gentlemanly player in the league. You look at those numbers are just ridiculous. Uh, 50
no,
goals. Let me see. One, two, three, four times, but he had 71 once, so in 73 games, so that's not too shabby. That's all right, you know. Not too bad for being
yeah,
the
not.
19th best player, on this list.
Yeah, yep, not bad at all. So who's at 18? You ask? That'd be Luke Robitaille.
Yes. He's actually, I actually thought of him as one of my favorite players. I didn't get to see him play much, because now it's not like every game isn't streamed live,
Yeah, 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 not, yeah. Things
but
are a little different back in our days.
but it's like you follow certain players and stuff like that. All this guy did was 12th all time in goals with 668, 726 assists. So he was at 1,394 points and 1,431 games. So quite a point a game. But let me tell you, this guy could light it up just as well as anybody. Plus 71, and he played on a lot of bad Kings teams, let me tell you. And he was still a positive. He had 89 game-winning goals, which does a lot for a team that couldn't, win a whole lot.
That couldn't win. Yeah, yeah.
He did change that culture there. So, there is that. He scored 100 points, let me see, 4 times in his career. So that isn't so bad either. He's one of the better left wingers to play the game.
Yeah.
He has won a Stanley Cup. He won the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, 8-time All-Star. So when you think of left wings, this is the guy, that you think of at that left wing spot in a lot of cases. So,
Yeah, no. Another one of those great players. Most of these guys that we're going to talk about now, I mean,
yeah, the numbers are
I'm
just
100.
insane.
I'm sure you know them. So at 17, you had Timu Solani.
Yeah. Timu Solani was 11th all time in goals. So, he only outdid Luke Robitaille by a few goals. 684 career goals. But this guy was a point per game. So he had 1,457 in 1,451 games played. He also was a plus 95, so he wasn't a defensive liability. So he also had 110 game-winning goals. So that is now the new leader.
110.
110
All
game-winning
right.
goals, one
Teemu
cup,
Solani.
a Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. He's had most goals this season once, um, winning that Rocket Richard, the Masterton Trophy. So actually, I believe the
That was his
year.
rookie year, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's actually led in goals 3 times. They only came out with that award 1998-99. So the 2 previous times he led in the league for goals, so he would have had 3 Rocket Richard awards. Would have, if they had it then. So, but he had 76 goals in his rookie season. You know,
Yeah, no.
he never hit that total again.
Yeah, but I think we did a thing on it once, and he was the all-time
Yes.
for rookies most goals by a rookie scored in NHL
Yes.
history. So
yes, yeah, and then people had to pay attention to him.
yeah, no,
Because
great
that's
player
just
again.
insane.
Another one of those guys, a phenomenal player. So at 16, you had Brett Hull.
Yes, Brett Hull. I'll tell you, it's like I didn't give him enough credit when he was playing, and by that I mean I hated him because it seemed like every time he played the Bruins, he would score. So I always found
Made
a
you
reason
angry.
to hate him, right? It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But being, objective as I am,
So
you
objective, yes.
have to put players accordingly to their abilities. Well, this guy won 2 Stanley Cups, a Lady Byng, 3-time All-Star. He won a Hart Trophy for MVP, a Pearson Award, and only scored 741 goals. 4th all time. 4th all time. He's like, but Run, how do you have him way down at number 16? Well, because he was only a plus 23 for his career. And when you score that many goals, you should be a little higher than that. Now, he does have 1,391 points in his career in only 1,269 games. So he does put a point, per game up on the board. But again, we wonder, well, was it really him or was it Adam Oates getting them the puck? So that's where the tricky part is. But when you look at it, Alex Ovechkin is basically this guy. When you really think about it, because Alex Ovechkin scores on a one-timer every 8 seasons. So what is the difference? There is no difference. So it's not just Adam Oates feeding him. This guy would score no matter who passes the puck to him. He's going to score goals, and if you're hanging around in front of the net somewhere and he has that ability to, how Dan Marino would escape and just slide like a half a step and everybody misses him.
Yeah.
This is what Brett Hull does. He just kind of glides backward and all of a sudden it's open and then it's too late. He had that ability to just disappear from people, and he'd find himself alone. And that is a skill. That is a great skill. When you can be open for the kind of player that you are, it's like, well, why don't they just key on him? Well, yeah, you try to do that. They all try to do that, but he just finds his way open, and that's why he gets so many goals. So that is a skill, and he's done it better than everybody but 3 guys.
No. Great player, great goal scorer. Great goal scorer.
He is.
At 15, when we talk speed, Sergei Fedorov, what is he? The Russian Rocket? Isn't that what his nickname was? It was just pure speed.
Oh my God, this guy! I don't even think his numbers do him justice, to be honest with you. Like, and let me tell you, the numbers, buddy. Like with the accolades, when you look at the accolades, he's got a long list, right? 3 cup winners, 2 Selke awards, best defensive forward, twice. With that being said, 483 goals, 696 assists. That's pretty good for a Selke winner, right? And a trophy for MVP. A defensive player getting Hart Trophy? What? Pearson Award. Hard to believe this guy has only been in one All-Star game. I cannot even believe that.
Yeah, I know.
This guy is a plus 261 for his career. 93 game-winning goals. I mean, you look at these numbers. It's the average time on the ice, 19 minutes and 52 seconds. This is a forward. This isn't a defenseman.
Yeah.
Those are all like defensive numbers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy just scores and just look, he's 40th all-time in goals. And you're like, well, why is he ahead of Brett Hull? Because of everything else. Because this guy was just a pure hockey player. Everything he did, he was excellent at. Everything he did. And when you are playing in Detroit, your top thought is defense. This is why they win all those cups.
Yeah.
They had great coaching, they had great players, and it was a team first. But he is so talented that there's no way I could have put him any lower. I mean, time is going to show that some of these other guys are going to catch up and pass him on this list because that's just what time does, right?
Absolutely.
But right now, he's number 15 on this list, and and he might even deserve to be higher.
Well placed. At number 14, one of your favorites, Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, I bet you're pretty surprised I have him this high.
That was a little bit of a surprise.
Let's look at the accolades. 3-time Cup winner, 2 Art Rows for scoring, 2 Hart Trophies for MVP, 3 Pearson Awards voted by the players for outstanding player in the regular season, 8-time All-Star, 2 Rocket Richards for most goals in a season, 2 Conn Smythes for playoff MVP, the Marc Messier Award for leadership. So that's pretty good. Right? He's still playing, mind you. But he's got 541 goals, which puts him 29th all time. So he still can get higher than this. He's got 933 assists, giving him 1,474 points in 1,161 games. So clearly well over a point a game. He's a plus 210. So as good as he is offensively, he's just as good defensively. He's a good player on faceoffs. Not great, but good. I mean, a lot of people will say that he's great, but I won't be that person. 84 game-winning goals. Like, this guy he's an all-star. I don't have him as high as everybody else, puts this guy up there. He's not one of the top 5 players of all time. And right now, you're looking at him at number 14, and this is just with goal scorers. So, but I think he's going to end up a lot higher than this when his career is over.
Yeah, he's still got some time. Still got some time to win you over. Still got some time to win you over.
I think he's got at least another 3 good years in him. At least another 3.
We'll see if he moves up.
He's got to stay healthy, though.
Yeah, that's important, too. Yes. So at number 13, Joe Sakic.
Yeah, he's a great player. I wish he played for this, to be honest with you. The Hall of Famer, 2-time Cup winner, Conn Smythe Award winner, MVP, a Lady Bing, a Pearson, 3-time All-Star, which is laughable. It should be more. But he's got 1,641 points in 1,378 games, well over a point a game. 625 career goals, which puts him 15th all-time. I mean, that's incredible. Only a plus 30, though. I was surprised about that. 86
some really
game-winning
good Colorado
goals.
Rock Avalanche teams, right?
Yeah, Quebec mostly. At the first 6 years, 7 years he played. It was Quebec, and then they moved to Colorado, and he was. That's when he just took off with leadership and all that stuff, and he made Colorado what it is today. And he won that cup. Two of them. One of them, with Ray.
Yes. That's all right, my friend. But Joe Sack, a great player as well. Another one of those guys.
Yeah, one of my favorites all time.
Yeah. So at number 12, you had Mark Messier.
Yeah, and it's like when you look at it, he's the 8th all time in goals. Quietly, if there's possibility of a quiet 694 goals, this guy is more than a point a game. 1,887 in 1,756 games. Played a lot of games. This guy was a two-way player. And again, we talk about that kind of like a 5-tool baseball player, right? This is that. Yeah. This is that hockey player where you can score, you can defend, you can lead, you have that grit, and everything else in between. This is what this guy is. I mean, he's a constant leader. And 92 game-winning goals. I believe there was a time where he guaranteed a win, and he came through with it, and he himself led the way in that game. So, 6 Stanley Cups, that's not too bad. 5 All-Stars, Conn Smythe, 2 MVPs, 2 Pearson Awards. The Hall of Famer is a Hall of Fame player in every aspect. And, 12 might not even be good enough for it. Might not even be good enough.
At number 11, you had Steve Yzerman.
Yeah. Outside of the Bruins, this guy is probably my favorite all-time player. Steve Yzerman was just fantastic. I mean, look, he was just unfortunate to play when Mario and Wayne.
Yeah.
If those two guys did not exist, this guy would have dominated hockey, and he would have been labeled the great one. But the great one does exist, and Super Mario does exist. So, being third all those years isn't so bad. It did have a lot of benefits because, you had some great teams when you were there in Detroit, and, 3-time Stanley Cup winner, a Pearson Award, a Smythe Award, a Selke Award for the best forward. So you think of that Detroit team, they have 3 Selkes, and they had two of the best players in their franchise history, right? He's an all-star, and he mastered an award. His best season, 1988-89, 65 goals, 90 assists for 155 points.
That's it.
The only problem was Mario existed and Wayne existed. Yeah. So, you don't lead in anything. So, but he scored 50 goals 5 times. Like, these are just insane numbers. 100-point seasons 6 times. 6 times. And you got nothing to show for it.
Yeah, that's tough.
But he does have 3 cups to show for it.
That's it. That's probably just more important at the end of the day.
It is.
It is.
So, Steve Yzerman, I love the player.
Great player. So at number 10, we cracked the top 10 now. Jaromir Jagr. Jaromir Jagr.
Yeah, the mullet man, right? The guy is still playing, by the way, in Czech League.
Yeah, isn't
Just
that
saying,
crazy?
you know,
It's insane.
you never know. Somebody could actually sign him and bring him over. You never know. Maybe Pittsburgh. How would that reunion go,
Right?
huh?
Bring that back.
I bet you he'd be good for a few goals.
I'm sure.
He didn't lose that shot. Yeah, Yager. Look at these numbers. I mean, third all time in goals with 766, which is ridiculous to even think of, right?
Yeah.
He also had 1,155 assists. So that ain't so bad either. 1,921 points. Um, you know, almost as many as assists as Wayne Gretzky. If you
Yeah.
just count assists for Gretzky as points for Yager. But he was a plus 322. So, I don't know if it was a fact that he was good defensively. It's just that when he had the puck, nobody else did.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You're not going to get the puck. He was big. He had a long range, and he could just hold the stick out there with the puck, and you're not getting it. I mean, he was just that good. 135 game-winning goals.
Oh, we got a new leader.
135.
Insane.
That is ridiculous.
No, he was definitely a great one.
Yeah, 2 cups, 5 Art Ross for scoring. So again, this is why I say Sidney Crosby isn't even the second best Pittsburgh Penguin, because you have Yager. So 8-time All-Star, 1 MVP, 3 Pearson Awards, 1 Masterton Award. His best season, 95-96, he had 62 goals, 87 assists for 149 points, 50 goals 3 times, 100 points 5 times, led the league in assists 3 times and points 5 times as well. So, yeah, like that's...
No, he was amazing. He was an amazing player. But all these guys now in the top 10 are. So at number 9, you got Maurice Richard.
Okay, again, I take out, all the bias towards players when I do a list like this, because this is a Montreal Canadian after all. We know how I feel about Montreal.
We do. Watch the regular show every Friday night. You will find out.
Look, you're here for a reason, right? You're at number 8.
9.
9. Sorry, 9. You have 8 Stanley Cups. Not many people can say that. I don't even know if there is anybody else that can say that.
Yeah,
14-time All-Star, a Hart Trophy way back in 1946-47. He won the Hart Trophy. And 544 goals, 422 assists. Now, when you think about it, that's not that much. He played 18 years, and how is he up higher than all these other guys? Well, because they didn't play that many games. Their seasons were a lot shorter than what they are now.
Yeah.
And, frankly, to score 50 goals, he's done it, 50 goals in 50 games, by the way. 1944-45. You're scoring these goals. You're playing a lot less games. If you extend these out, he blows away all those other numbers that we've already talked about. And this guy, back then, you don't score that many goals. And he scored 50, once? But 30 plus almost every season other than that.
Yeah, and I think, again, to your point, 8 Stanley Cups. How do you not?
He was the best goal scorer there. He was the best. Yeah. The best.
No, so great. Number 8, Marcel Dion.
Marcel Dion. Yeah, I had a really tough time with Marcel Dion because when you look at the numbers, 731 goals, 1,040 assists, 1,771 points. That looks amazing, right? And it is amazing. You know, 5th all-time in goals. That's something to be proud of. He only played 1,348 games, so 400 plus points more per game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's like almost 1.5 at that point. And he was a plus 27. And you know, he's one of those guys I changed like 100 times. I started him off at number 4 and he ended up at number 8. You
Yeah.
know, and that plus minus has a lot to do with it. You know, he has 73 game-winning goals. You know, I would have thought that he would have had a lot more than that, to be honest with you. And I didn't penalize him for that. The plus 27 I kind of did because it should be a lot higher. But he did play for some bad, you know, King teams. Even though they had some talent, it was really bad. You know, they had him and Simmer, and you know, I remember Rogi Vachon in net. I just liked Rogi Vachon because there was those pastries by Vachon, and I liked those pastries, so I liked him as a goaltender. But he really wasn't as good as that, you know,
That's the
that
pastry.
pastry.
Yeah.
So he was a cream puff, basically.
Oh boy.
But Marcel Dion was a great hockey player. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. No matter where he was, you know, he just fell a little because of just
That
not
plus
being
minus.
able to get it.
Yeah. No. Again, all these guys phenomenal players. So
Yes.
at number 7, you had Bobby Hull. So the second
Bobby
of the
Hull,
Hulls, the dad.
Yep, Brett's dad was look. When I give you the numbers, it doesn't even compare to what it could have been. Because let's not forget the fact that he played 16 seasons in the NHL. Pretty good. But he also played 7 seasons in the WHA. He left the NHL to go play in the WHA for Winnipeg. And then eventually Winnipeg came into the league. But, you know, this was a long time before.
Yeah.
So he, in 1,063 games in the NHL, he had 610 goals. So that was 17th all time. He was a plus 249 and 98 game-winning goals. He won a cup, 3 Art Ross trophies for scoring, 12-time All-Star, 2 MVPs, and a Lady Byng. His best season, 1968-69, 58 goals, led the league, 49 assists, and 107 points. They were not the league leaders, but 58 goals was the league leader. Now, he won 2 championships with the WHA, and so he spent 7 seasons of prime hockey for him.
Yeah.
Out of the NHL. And his numbers, I mean, you figure if he played another 100 games or so, even if it's just that,
Yeah.
he could have scored, you know, close to 700 goals. And I don't know, then we'd be talking about a whole new thing if he played, you know, like 3 seasons with, you know, the NHL.
Yeah.
3 more seasons. Not even 7, 3.
Yeah.
That's 150 plus games.
Yeah.
So would have definitely hit 700 goals, and then we could be talking about something
A
completely
lot
different.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes career choices make the difference. So at
Yeah.
number 7 was Bobby Hull. So at 6, Guy Lafleur.
Guy Lafleur. Yeah, you know, it's like it was tough for me to put Guy Lafleur. I kept going back and forth whether he should have been 4, 5, or 6, maybe even as high as 3rd. But I settled in on number 6. And like I said, I'm not sure that's even correct because this was one of those players to me that was very difficult in this section here. Clearly better than the rest. You know, Bobby Hull, if he would have played more, that might have been a difference. But better than everybody else after him. That's not a question. But Guy Lafleur had 1,126 games played. He had 1,353 points, so more than a point a game. 560 goals scored, 24th all time. 98 game-winning goals, and a gaudy, and I've been using that word a lot, but that's what these numbers are.
Yeah, absolutely.
446 for plus minus. 446. 5-time Cup winner, 6-time All-Star, 3 Art Ross for scoring, 3 Pearson Awards, 1 Conn Smythe for MVP for the playoffs, and 2 Hart trophies for MVP in the league. Deserves the credit. Every accolade he's gotten, he actually deserves more, and that's coming from a Montreal hater. If there's a player in history that I like, it is Guy Lafleur. Never hated him, couldn't hate him because he was just that good.
Too talented, right?
1976-77, 56 goals, 80 assists for 136 points. Led the league that season in points and assists. In 77-78, he had 60 goals to lead the league and 132 points to lead the league in points. So he's led the league in goals once, assists once, and points 3 times. 6 times he scored 50 goals or more.
Wow.
I mean, that is just craziness. And, he was just that good. And I mean, one of the few Montreal Canadiens that I wish was in Boston.
Yeah.
There are some, but, that he's one of the
probably
best all
top of the
time.
list. Yes, definitely.
One of the best.
So we're on the final 5 here. We're in the top 5. And at number 5, to start us off, is Mike Bossy.
Oh, what could have been, again, another one of those guys. Like, he's number 5, right? Number 5. Well, how much better could he have gotten? Well, if you look at those numbers, 573 goals, that's 21 all time, right? So how much better could it be? Well, he only played 752 games.
Wow.
That is, when you look at it, think about, let's see, what's the next guy down with goals? 573. So you figure, okay, let's look at Bobby Hull. 610 goals. He played over 1,000 games.
Yeah, so 300 more games, yes. Mike
He only had 37 more goals.
Yeah.
He played 300 more games. Mike Bossy could have been at least number 2 on this list. I don't think he could have overtaken Gretzky, but he could have overtaken the others easily. Yeah. 4-time Cup winner, a Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, 8-time All-Star, a Conn Smythe for Playoff MVP, 3 Lady Bings, most gentlemanly player in the league. He led in goals only twice, but again, he's playing in that era with Gretzky, so it's hard to lead the league when you have Wayne Gretzky. That's why I say he could have caught anybody but Gretzky.
Yeah.
And, it's just a shame that he only got to play 752 games. And you think the end of his career, those games that he did play, how hurt was he playing? And he was still great.
Yeah.
He was still great. He was a plus 380 with 80 game-winning goals. 80 game-winning goals in just 752 games. So, I mean, he's
more than 10%. Yeah.
More than 10%, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That is extremely impressive. Extremely
Mike
impressive.
Bossy, one of the best ever.
Yeah. These top 5
as we say this all the time.
Yeah, all night. But these top 5 are amazing. So at number 4, currently still playing and chasing Gretzky for the goal scoring record.
Yeah.
Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, I have him number 4. That is saying something because, when you first look at the numbers, okay, so he just has that shot. But there's more to Alex Ovechkin than just a shot. I mean, when you see how he plays, like every time he scores a goal, it's like it's his first one. And there's something to be said about that because you still enjoy the game that much. And the players around you see this and they take on that persona as well. And that is another form of the leadership that he brings because it's more than just that. Because when somebody messes up, he's the first one to open his mouth and he backs it up. That's the thing.
Yeah.
When somebody opens their mouth, if you can't back it up, then what's the point? Then you're a laughing stock, right? He's not a laughing stock. This guy is just a professional. Okay. You need a goal. This is the guy that you want,
Yeah.
To do it because he can.
Yeah.
He's
Absolutely.
got 812. At this moment, he's probably just scored again.
He's actually
One
out
of
right
those
now.
things.
Yeah, he's actually out right now. He's
Well,
out.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
that quick. Yeah, I got you.
I mean, it's just insane. He's second all time, the third player to get to 800 goals. Gordie Howe, who's not on the list because he hasn't scored 50 goals.
Yeah.
So this in no way says these are the best hockey players of the game.
Best 50.
But
at least
these are the best 50 goal scorers there were.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Alex Ovechkin, best season 2007, 2008, 65 goals, 47 assists, 112 points, led the league in goals and points. This guy's led the league in goals 9 times.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Nine times. If you only played those 9 years.
Yeah. It's unreal.
He's led the league in points 1 time, and that was back in 07, 08. But see, that's the thing. It's not just one-dimensional. Yes, he has more goals than assists. We get it. We get it. He's a goal scorer. That's what he is. But if you took a look at that All-Star game, and yes, it's an All-Star game. It doesn't mean squat, right? This guy can pass too.
Yeah.
He can pass. He has the ability to pass. He doesn't want to pass because he feels he can score no matter what.
Time. Yeah, every time.
And that is the right attitude to have because I've gone years and years with the Bruins watching them, and it's like, why are you passing? Shoot it.
Yeah.
There's a time to be selfish, and he knows he is the best player on that team.
You don't score 812 goals if you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
He knows the chances are better that he scores than passing and trying to get it through and then having somebody else shoot it.
Yeah.
The chances are better, right? If the puck leaves his stick, the odds are going down that you score. It's that simple. And Ovechkin, all these accolades, he has a cup. So, he knows how to win. It's just a lot of times that the guys around him are brittle.
Yeah. Aren't as good. Yeah. No, again, phenomenal players.
I'll tell you.
I'm sure he'll probably be higher on this list if we
Eric,
did it next year.
I will be scared if he ever leaves Washington and goes to Pittsburgh, or if Sidney Crosby leaves Pittsburgh to go to Washington. It's over. Give them the cup because that's what you will stand no chance. No chance. With Sidney passing to Ovechkin, that would be ridiculous.
Phenomenal. So at number 3, you had Phil Esposito.
Yes, and I had him as low as 8 at one point.
Yeah.
Again, these guys fluctuating, and I started looking at numbers, and then I started paying attention to league leaders and stuff like that, and then just all around stuff. So let's give you the 2 cups, the 8 All-Stars, the 5 Art Ross for scoring, the 2 MVPs and the 2 Pearson Award voted by the players, right? Along with that, you have 717 goals, which is 6th all time. 873 assists to go along with that, so he wasn't just a goal scorer. He could pass,
Yeah.
when he wanted to. I mean, a lot of those goals are cleanup goals, as I stated in that pick and roll.
Yeah.
But he does have 717 of them. And whether you want to believe it or not, I still think he's the second best Bruin of all time. But this guy can light it up. He's a big guy too. He was not easy to budge from in front of that net. He was a plus 252, so he's not giving it up in his own end. Of course, back then, this line just had it in the opponent's end the whole time, so he wouldn't spend much time in their own end.
Yeah.
118 game-winning goals. Oh, and by the way, Ovechkin had 124.
Oh, so close.
So,
Jaromir Jagr still the leader
right now.
Jaromir Jagr 135.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like Esposito, 70-71, 76 goals, 76 assists, 152 points, right? Led in goals and points. 72-73, 55 goals led the league, 75 assists led the league, 130 points led the league. He's led in goals 6 times, assists 3 times, points 5 times, scored 60 plus 4 times. I mean, just the numbers are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. It's like, I mean, how do you stop him?
No.
You don't.
Like
you don't. You're just going to hope you score more than him.
That's it. No. One of the best Bruins of all time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So these last 2 guys are obviously some of the best to ever do it. But at number 2, you went Mario Lemieux.
Yes. And again, we go back to that injury thing.
Yeah.
But he was clearly better. When he came into the league, Gretzky had to share the accolades. And that is the thing that, we tend to forget. Wayne Gretzky dominated until the arrival of Mario Lemieux. Then it was these 2 guys that, were above the rest. Even like I said, Steve Yzerman would have been 3rd in all these seasons,
Yeah.
But these guys were just so good. They were so good. They saw things that happened, before it even happened. And it's too bad. 915 games. That's it. 915. If we could have gotten 1,200 out of this guy, I mean, 690 goals, he would have scored probably 800 if he could have gotten another 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Another 3 seasons. And 1,033 assists. He averaged almost 2 points a game, 1,723 points in 915 games.
Wow.
Why couldn't we see what it would have been like if he played 1,487 games like Wayne Gretzky?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's too bad. It's too bad because we lost out. This guy was truly super. 2 cups, 1 Calder Trophy, 4 Pearson Awards, 9 All-Stars, 6 Art Ross trophies for scoring, 3 Hart trophies for MVP, 2 Smythe trophies for playoff MVP, and a Masterton to throw it in there. 1988-89, he had 85 goals, 114 assists for 199 points. That was his best season. Missed 200 by 1 point. If he could have gotten that, he would have been the second person to do it.
Oh, he was obviously one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yep.
But it's so hard, Ron, and we're at number 1. But how does anybody
You
past
don't.
the great Wayne Gretzky. Like, how does that happen at number
You
one?
don't. I mean, when we talk about 1,963 assists, that is more points than anybody. Just the assist. But hello, he has 884 goals to go with that. So, I mean, I don't I don't know if that's even possible to break.
The points, yeah.
I mean, you have to score 2 points a game for a career that lasts like 20 years. Good luck. Good luck with that. 2 points a game.
Yeah.
2 points a game. So that means you have to score 164 points every year for 20 years. And then we can talk.
Yeah.
like,
No,
there's no way.
never gonna
There's
happen.
no
Yeah.
way. There's no way. I mean, you have to have bionics.
Yeah.
Or like the sarcophagus in Stargate SG-1, where you just regenerate. You know, I don't see it happening ever. Like
Yeah.
what we witnessed, you know, and
Yeah.
and let me tell you, Connor McDavid is a great hockey player. I can't see him doing that. Can't see him doing it. Not for 20 years.
Yeah.
Not for 20 years. You got to be able to score 200 points at least once, right?
Yeah.
In order for it to happen. And I don't see it. Don't see it. At least not now.
No. Again, that was one of the greatest to ever do it. That was 50 with 50, and basically the best 50 goal scorers of all time in NHL history.
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky coming in at number one. This was really fun, Ron. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I'm sure the NHL fans out there are going to love this. So make sure you continue to follow us, subscribe. We got that little QR code up there for the YouTube page for Sports Unfolded. And every so often we had our Facebook QR code pop up there. So we'll bring that up one more time. You can follow us on Facebook as well. Check us out every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We will be live, fan interactive. So much to cover this Friday. Can't wait to see that as well. So check that out, 6 p.m.
Yeah, and it's like, look, we're interactive, and we want people to comment and question what our thoughts are. We want you to question it. Like, it's not all the time where I just lash out at like Dallas fans or something like that, or Sidney Crosby fans, but it's good to have the interaction, to get your opinions across, and who knows, maybe I might agree with you. Probably not, but
you might be able to change his mind. Who knows?
You might be. You might be.
So
not saying Sidney Crosby is ever going to see my top five, but
yeah. So check us out this Friday, 6 p.m. Big show, Sports Unfolded. We can't wait. Ron, as always, I appreciate your hockey insight. Great list, my friend. We'll continue to do these every so often to kind of keep the a little bit of momentum with the NHL. But every single night, all we ask for is peace on earth.
Have a great night.